I don't even know if I care anymore that it's not a Boba Fett show anymore. Chapter 6 of the Book of Boba Fett was probably one of the best live action episodes so far of Star Wars for their TV series. Out of the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, all this stuff, it is beautiful. It is a beautiful, beautiful episode, and it's not all just because of the big rumored thing that we all thought would happen in this episode, based on the end of episode 5, but there's some other things that they throw in near the end too that are just incredible. Like, I'm sorry, I can't be too upset over Boba Fett once again not really even being in his own show. Here we are, Chapter 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger, and it starts out with Cobb Vanth from The Mandalorian Season 2, and I didn't really think this episode would really dive back into Din Djarin's story after seeing Cobb Vanth start up here with the episode on Tatooine. I thought, okay, we're back on Tatooine, we're going to see the Boba Fett story once again, and we kind of did, but it's not as much as you may think, but we get to see Cobb Vanth interact with some Pikes, whatever. Let's just move on here to some bigger stuff, honestly. It was a really cool scene, but we can move on past that scene. We get to see Mando traveling to some unknown planet. I don't know if we know this planet or not, but he obviously has some sort of tracker or some sort of way to track down Grogu, and essentially he just walks upon Luke Skywalker, R2-D2, and just, he walks upon the place where Luke and Grogu are. Just like that. He meets up with R2-D2, and he just kind of waits. He waits with R2-D2 at these weird droids that are building Luke's temple, at least his first Jedi temple. So obviously Luke is now trying to travel around and start his Jedi Academy or whatever, which I don't even want to get into the sequels right now. Let's just kind of enjoy this moment, I suppose. But that's kind of what he's trying to start to do right now. And essentially, Mando has to wait for Luke or something like that. R2-D2 doesn't really even try to tell Mando where Luke is or lead Mando where Luke is. He just kind of lets Grogu and Luke do their thing. And Mando just kind of waits out because he wants to deliver his gift to Grogu. And then we get this. And this is actually a massive part of the episode. Luke Skywalker and Grogu Jedi training, all this stuff that we never got to see with Rey, really. Grogu's already done more Jedi training. He already did it before, actually, in his previous Jedi Temple life before Order 66, but he's getting even more training now with Luke. And Luke looks a hell of a lot better in this show. I think it's that deepfaker they got, that Shamook guy or whatever his YouTube name was. He ended up getting hired by Lucasfilm way back earlier last year, and he's a guy who ended up doing the Luke Skywalker scene at the end of Mando Season 2 much better. He improved it. He made it look better. And it looks like they're using more of the deepfake idea here rather than the whole CGI thing they tried to do at the end of Mando Season 2, and Luke looks incredible in the Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, Boba Fett. Remember Boba Fett? I don't either. I don't know. It's pretty crazy where the story's gone in this show. But anyways, Luke Skywalker is back, and he has a significant part in this episode. He's not just a cameo anymore. He is like probably the big main star of the show, honestly. And he's training with Grogu, and he's messing around with the life and the frogs and the planet and everything. It's just kind of cool to see him training with Grogu, honestly. And we got this cool, funny little scene here with Luke kind of walking with Grogu. He uses the Force to push Grogu along because he's so little and he can't really walk that fast, I suppose. And just when you think, okay, we're seeing Luke Skywalker, we're seeing Grogu in this scene here, on the Book of Boba Fett for all places, you think that's all, right? No. We get to see another scene, which I didn't expect this one. I did not expect this one. We knew this happened. We knew Grogu was at the Jedi Temple when Order 66 happened, but we didn't know really what happened. We didn't know who took him. And then Luke Skywalker is like, what's troubling you or whatever, we're going to dive into your past. And he puts his hand on Grogu's head, and we kind of dive into this flashback, this memory of Grogu's. And this is him during Order 66. So we get to see an Order 66 scene in the Book of Boba Fett. This is one of our first live action, I think this is our first live action Order 66 scene since Revenge of the Sith. We've gotten a bunch of stuff in the Clone Wars, which is beautiful stuff, but this is like our return to the Jedi Temple, where the 501st and Anakin Skywalker themselves storm the temple and wiped out the Jedi. And someone is carrying Grogu in the scene. I don't know who. We still don't know who. They don't show it. But they do show Grogu watching the 501st walk in, storm the temple, and just wipe out the Jedi. So it's cool to see the 501st, the clone troopers back in live action here. It looks all CG'd, but it still looks amazing, honestly. It kind of reminds me of how they looked in the prequel movies, honestly. So that's amazing. I really love to see them, but we get to see all these Jedi in the temple get wiped out, just random Jedi. And there's the 501st. So they kind of chased after Grogu. We don't know who took Grogu, who saved Grogu. We don't know how Grogu really got out. But we got to see a little bit of that scene, which is amazing. I think we'll see that later in maybe Mando season 3. But very cool to see that. That is one of the few scenes in this episode I did not expect to see, and it just blew my mind to see that. I really loved it. And I just kind of got some of these shots here of Luke and Grogu on this planet, just kind of chilling, talking about things and training and whatever. Luke giving Grogu wisdom, Jedi wisdom, and all that stuff. It's so beautiful to watch. It really is. It's so beautiful to watch. I mean, this is the Luke Skywalker so many people wanted to see, I believe, and we're finally getting to see it. We're not getting this grumpy old whatever on, from The Last Jedi and stuff. We're getting the Luke Skywalker a lot of people wanted to see. Now, it's going to lead to the Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, but I'm just trying to kind of ignore what happened there. There's a long chunk of time before that even happens, so I'm just kind of trying to enjoy the moment as it is. But then we get to the big cameo in the episode that I didn't expect to see, and I still don't really feel like was necessary. And I think it only happened because Dave Filoni directed this episode. This is a big Dave Filoni episode. Dave Filoni, I think he wrote on the episode. He also directed the episode. And while Mando is waiting, he wakes up, and Ahsoka's just standing there. And I'm like, why is Ahsoka there? And she doesn't really serve much purpose to the episode, but we get to see Ahsoka again, and she is in the same exact area as Luke, which means she has already met up with Luke. She is aware of Luke, and it's kind of sad because we didn't get to see Luke and Ahsoka's first interactions on screen together, but unfortunately now Luke and Ahsoka are just kind of working together. They know of each other, and they just kind of leave it at that. But Ahsoka kind of convinces Din to just not really confront Grogu because it would actually, disrupt his training with Luke. So Din kind of, gives his gift for Grogu to Ahsoka, and Ahsoka ends up delivering it to Luke, which we'll get to at the very end, which we kind of learn what that gift is. But Din never gets to see Grogu again in this episode, but he just kind of walks off and thinks it's the best for Grogu because Ahsoka convinced him. I'm sure the two will see each other again. I'm honestly pretty sure of it. But then we kind of jump off into a very interesting scene with Luke and Grogu. So Din Djarin leaves, but the story with Luke and Grogu is still not done. We got this little callback, I would say, to Yoda being on Luke's back in The Empire Strikes Back. And now we got Grogu on Luke's back, but Luke is the one training Grogu. And I love it. I love it so much. It is beautiful. It is such a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch. I just love it so much. It's incredible. I can't believe what I'm watching. And the deep fake that they're using now, the CGI or whatever they're doing with Luke now, looks a hell of a lot better than it did in The Mandalorian. It looks amazing. We got some scenes here with Luke with his lightsaber, kind of training, showing Grogu some moves or whatever. And then we get to see Grogu train with that training droid ball that we kind of saw in A New Hope, where Luke was first training with Obi-Wan. It's very cool to see that. And then we got to see Grogu hop around. He's actually moving quite a bit in this episode, which is kind of cool. We don't really get to see Grogu move around a whole lot, so he's kind of really jumping around on these rocks, trying to kind of run away almost from this droid. And kind of cool to see that. Kind of cool to see some training scenes with Grogu. He's doing a lot more than, honestly, I even thought he would do. This scene. Look at this. Look at this shot. I wish we would have seen them first interact, but it's still incredible to see. This is Anakin Skywalker's Padawan, Ahsoka Tano, with live action Luke Skywalker on screen together. This is incredible. It just is. And I know this is the book of Boba Fett. I get that. But just let's take this in for a moment. This is just beautiful to see. I love it. I love I love seeing this together. I love seeing these two characters together in one scene. And then obviously Ahsoka ends up dropping the line of "you're just like your father" in a way, or something like that. I've only watched it once, but it was a beautiful thing to see. She referenced Anakin in there. And then we kind of cut from that whole thing, and we jump to Din heading back to Tatooine. He's going to help out Fennec Shand and Boba Fett, obviously. So very cool to jump back into the real storyline that we're actually getting. Like the real storyline of the show for the first 4 episodes. We're actually getting back to it. I know. We see Fennec here. We got everyone gathered up. Black Chrysanthemum. Just everyone in Jabba's palace. We actually get to see Boba Fett. Look at that. There's Boba Fett in his own show, finally, right? And that's about it, by the way. That's kind of the only time we see Boba Fett in his own show in episode 6. But there's Din Djarin. He's kind of, there to help out now. He's just kind of chilling in the back. Din Djarin wants to go get some help for Boba Fett. So he's not done yet. He wants to go get some help for Boba. We passed the Jawas on Tatooine. They got the big skull of the Krayt Dragon, I believe, on the top of their sand crawler. So really cool to see that. Just kind of like a Mandalorian reference. And he goes to meet Cobb Vanth. Cobb Vanth, obviously, we got the hint at the beginning of the episode that we would see him later on. So it's cool to see this character back. Doesn't have the armor anymore from Boba Fett, obviously, but it's still cool to see this character. I do really like this character, and I hope we get to see more of him in the future. And that was almost put to the risk, at the end of the episode here. But essentially, Mando just tries to convince Cobb Vanth that Boba needs your help, and eventually the Pike Syndicate and everything will be affecting his little town. And, it ends with Cobb Vanth just thinking like, okay, I'm going to think on it. I think I'm probably going to go help Mando. This is probably the one part in the episode that I just didn't expect at all. Like, for some reason I didn't expect it, even though there was so many rumors and theories that people had that this character would show up. Cobb Vanth looks off into the distance, and there's a figure. There's a figure walking towards him in the distance. It's like he always has to come in this way, just like in the Bad Batch. Cobb Vanth is completely confused. He has no idea what's going on. He gets closer, and you can see the hat. You can see the hat on him. And here it is, the Western standoff of Cobb Vanth and one of our favorite bounty hunters, Cad Bane. There he is. We got so far in the show, I didn't think we'd get to this point. I didn't think we'd see Cad Bane. There were rumors of him showing up, theories of him showing up, and it's like, okay, it makes sense for this show, but once we're seeing all this Jedi stuff and this Din Djarin stuff and hardly any Boba Fett stuff, it's like, all right, we're probably not going to see Cad Bane. All these things and theories that people had in this show, for this show, isn't really going to happen. And then they give us this at the end. Cad Bane. Cad Bane in live action. There he is. So it's essentially this is like the same exact cameo he had in the Bad Batch, where he kind of faced off against Hunter and he took Omega for the Kaminoans. And it's essentially just another standoff. So Cad Bane comes in the live action, he kind of interacts and says, you might not want to help Mando and Boba Fett. Boba Fett's, he helped the Empire, and he's not really a good guy, he's a bad guy. And he kind of informs Cobb Vanth that the Syndicate is in control of this land, or something of that nature. So you would assume that Cad Bane has been hired by the Pike Syndicate, I believe. He just said Syndicate, so it could be somebody else, but I'm assuming it's the Pikes. I don't really know, but he was hired by somebody to just kind of keep Boba and Mando from achieving their rule on Mos Espa and the land of Tatooine. I don't know really, but we get the standoff between Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane, and obviously they're not just gonna kill off Cad Bane right away. So Cad Bane, he shoots Cobb Vanth, but he also shoots Cobb Vanth's new sheriff guy or whatever that he's training. He ends up getting shot multiple times. He's definitely dead. But Cobb Vanth, I don't think he's dead. At the end, all the people in the village started to rush to Cobb Vanth's aid. So I think he's okay. I think he'll be all right. I think he'll live. But I think he got shot in the shoulder. And then Cad Bane walks off saying, he gives a warning, the Syndicate is in control of this land. And I just cannot believe that this is what we got to see. I kind of expected Luke Skywalker, considering the end line of the last episode. That stuff is beautiful, but this was a big shock to me because of how far we are in the show now and just how little time we have left. I didn't think we'd reach this point. So it's super cool to see this character. I think they're setting up the whole Cad Bane versus Boba Fett thing again. I hope they have more of Cad Bane in live action than just one battle with Boba, but if that gives us badass Boba Fett, so be it. But that's the big issue, is we still aren't seeing Boba Fett. I think they could maybe set up a season 2 with Cad Bane and Boba, but we'll have to wait and see if they even confirm another season for this show. Then we jump back into Mos Espa. We get to see this cantina once again. It's the cantina with the Twi'leks. I keep forgetting their names, but the Pikes walk in. They're trying to take control now. They're just kind of taking charge, or kind of scoping out the area. The droid tries to take their order, and they're just like, nah, we're all right. Madame Garza or something like that. I think that's her name. She's kind of watching from a distance, like, what are they doing in our cantina? What's the issue here? What's going on? And then the Pikes just kind of walk out. They walk out and boom. So I'm assuming everyone in that cantina is dead. Even her, even all the Twi'leks. So this character is no longer alive. This character is dead, I would assume. It's a pretty big explosion. I don't think anyone in that cantina is going to live, because it was a bomb that the droid found that the Pikes ended up leaving at their table. So there was like a droid behind her that was holding it up, and it blew right out the door. So I'm assuming everyone in that cantina is dead, including her. She was pretty close to the droid. So much for Garza, this character here that we've seen a few episodes now. I think they could have done more with her, but honestly, I'm not too upset. She's a newer character. It's like, whatever. I'm really thinking now that this is what's going to really spark Boba to come in and take charge and try to actually full force fight the Pikes at this moment, because they have now attacked Mos Espa. And I think that's going to be the whole leading point into episode 7. I think episode 7 is going to be fully Boba Fett stuff, and I hope it's long, because we've been spending way too much time away from Boba Fett, and that is the big issue I think everyone is still going to have, is there's hardly any Boba Fett in this episode along with episode 5. It's just very strange, but I think we're going to have that story in total for episode 7 with Cad Bane. I think that whole tease there too really just hints that we're going to get a massive episode with Boba Fett, Cad Bane, Mando, whatever. We're going to get all of that stuff, and I am excited. I am very, very excited. And then we actually get an end scene with Luke and Grogu, and we get to finally see what the gift is. So the gift for Grogu is a little chain outfit made out of Beskar, which is kind of what people predicted when they saw the chains in the sequence with the armorer. But it's like a little chain outfit for Grogu made of Beskar. So it's really cool. It's obviously something to help protect Grogu while maybe he's with Mando, but obviously he's not with Mando right now. And Luke Skywalker also shows this. It is Master Yoda'S lightsaber. Yes, it's not just any like little lightsaber, little short green lightsaber. It is Master Yoda'S lightsaber. He specifically mentions it. I don't know if Yoda had his lightsaber. I think he lost it during the fight with Palpatine, so I don't know how he retrieved this lightsaber. But he does have Yoda's lightsaber, and he gives Grogu an option. Do you want to choose the lightsaber, or do you want to choose the Mandalorian and his gift? And you have to choose. If you choose the Mandalorian's gift, Luke will bring Grogu back to Din. And if he chooses the lightsaber, he will continue to train Grogu as a Jedi. So Luke is really giving Grogu this ultimate choice here of, do you want to be a Jedi, or do you want to be kind of like a Mandalorian kind of way, a foundling of the Mandalorians for Din Djarin? And I don't really know what he's going to choose. And I know Luke made it seem like, there's not really an in-between choice, but I think in some way there's going to be an in-between choice with Grogu here, where they keep talking about this Mandalorian Jedi of like Tar Vizsla, and I think we're going to get Grogu kind of an in-between with that. I don't think he's going to continue to train with Luke Skywalker, considering what happens later on with his Jedi Temple and everything. Grogu's got to get out of there at some point, because I don't think they're going to retcon anything from the sequels, unfortunately. So obviously Ben Solo and all that mess is going to happen. So I think we're gonna send Grogu off from Luke Skywalker eventually. I think he's going to choose the Mandalorian. I think he's going to want to go see Din again. And I think we could see Luke Skywalker even bringing Grogu back to Din. But if that happens, I don't know where else we would see Luke Skywalker in the story. Maybe if there's a bigger threat like Thrawn showing up, maybe we could see Luke again. But that's just far speculation for now. But incredible episode. There is just so much in this episode. I'm still trying to process what happened, but I just wanted to break it down, let you guys know what happened, give my thoughts on it real quick. And I know it's not a Boba Fett episode. Honestly, I can't even believe the title of the show is The Book of Boba Fett. They could have just called it something else and had Boba Fett in it. But I mean, whatever. It's fine. I can't even be too upset at this point because this was such amazing story. I loved it. I know some people might be upset about cameos or too much nostalgia and just all that stuff. I get it. Those are valid criticisms, I guess. But I loved it. I can't say I didn't like it because I really loved what I watched. And I'm super excited to see the Boba Fett story that is going to unfold in episode 7 because that's obviously what we have to get into now. And Cad Bane is now in live action in this show. And we are in for a wild ride. I really definitely believe it. And then the show will be done. We don't know if there'll be a season 2, but this episode, I don't even know, well over 10 out of 10 for me. It's just... The last episode was really amazing, and they just somehow outperformed episode 5. Like, it's incredible. I don't know how episode 7 can. I don't know if it will. I think it'll be a central Boba Fett story and him on Tatooine, which is what we need. It's definitely what we need. But let me know what you guys thought about this episode. I think it was great. But back to Boba's story now. I'm excited to see where that one goes.